Good afternoon everyone. I'm so happy to see all of you today. You are 100 people. That's great. My name is TEDxEcoleHoteliereLausanne and I'm delighted to be your host today on this TEDx conference centered on the theme Feed Your Brain. Feed your brain. We all have a definition of what feed our brains means, right? You all do. You can think about classical music, about history, about culture. Well, we gathered all your meanings and we found out the best speakers today to show you ideas and to make you feel all these ideas. You may wonder, why TEDxEcoleHoteliereLausanne? Why here? Why today? We all spend countless hours in front of Facebook, Twitter, in front of your computer or in front of your TVs. Well, we thought maybe there is a better way to spend your time. Why not to share ideas with others? So today, I'm pleased to introduce about 7 speakers and 2 performers. Do you know what's TED? Please raise your hand if you know what's TED. Great, wow, whoa. Looks like the half, that's amazing. So for those of you who don't know TED already, TED is a non-profit organization devoted to ideas worth spreading. TEDx events are in the same spirit of TED, but organized by a team of volunteers and independently. There's something amazing today. For the first time, and for the 3rd edition of TEDxEcoleHoteliereLausanne, all this event was made by a team of volunteer students. About 20 volunteer students worked hard for the last 6 months. So please, to start already, give a round of applause. Thank you. TEDx conferences are not just a series of conferences. It's ideas. It's an experience. It encourages thinking outside of the traditional box. But well, what do we have today for you to feed your brain? 7 outstanding speakers, 2 performers, 1 remarkable installation, and some pre-recorded TED Talks. At the back of your badge, you will notice there is 1 hour break midway through the program. We'll feed your brain with healthy and non-healthy food. Actually, that's great. Before to start the event, if you have not done so, please switch off your phone or turn it to a silent mode. You won't disturb the person next to you and the speaker. Wait, I'm going a bit too far. You know what, all stand up. Please all stand up. Go, all stand up, that's amazing. Wow. You all know why you're here today, but do you know the person next to you? You know something about her or him, so please, shake his hand or her hand and get his name. Start with your left person. Please, go. Thank you. Thank you very much. Today, and for your pleasure, we have professional photographers covering the entire event. So please, no flash photographies. It will disturb the speaker and the video production. I have a good news and bad news for you, actually. You want to exit the auditorium, maybe. You want to go outside. How do? You don't really want to disturb the person next to you, just actually met, right? You got his name, shake his hand. So how do you do? Well, my advice is to wait in between talks. You won't disturb the speaker and you won't disturb the person next to you. For all of you bloggers and live tweeters, our hashtag is TEDxEHL. So go, free your brains and feed our tweets. Before to start, watch a little video on TED.
From Kenya to Colombia, from Iraq to Korea, in slums, in schools, in prisons, and in theatres. Every day, people gather at TEDx events around the world to hear the best ideas bubbling up in their communities. Today, you are part of a global conversation about our shared future. So what is this TEDx? TEDx is an initiative of the TED Conference, a non-profit devoted to ideas worth spreading. We grant free licenses to allow TED-like events to spread globally. This event today is based on the TED Conference format and ideals, but is independently organized by your local community. So please make sure to thank the team of volunteers who worked so hard on today's event. It's their ideas, dedication, and time that made it all possible. It's they who booked all the speakers, and the views you'll hear today are, of course, those of those speakers, not necessarily of TED. We hope their talks spark an exciting conversation among you. It is a day for curiosity and for skepticism, for openness and for critical thinking, for inspiration and for action. The more you enter into it, the more you'll take out. And now, on with the show.
Wow, great. Are you ready to start TEDxEcoleHoteliereLausanne? Oh, Kathleen, hey, how are you? Cool. So Kathleen Ritten worked hard on this event with all the team. So to start this conference, let me introduce our first speaker. He sent us a 1-minute video with all his energy and his passion, and he blew our mind. So, please.
Just before, a bit of cheering up, right? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's not good. Are you ready?
Yes.
Well, let's welcome on stage Mr. Carlos Ruz.
In April 2011, there was a burglary, which I found most peculiar. 2 thieves broke into the Museum of Science of Coimbra in Portugal. They didn't take the cash, they didn't touch the computers, but they ran away with 2 18th century rhino horns. So what were they doing? Who was behind this theft? And where was this rhino horn going to go? Let's park this mystery for a moment and the beast behind it. As a biologist, for the last 30 years or so, I've had the privilege of studying the lives of animals and working on species conservation. And I soon came to the conclusion that species conservation starts at home. And that is so because the way we run our businesses, the way we make our consumer choices, the way we purchase articles can have profound collective implications on oceans, on forests, on savannas, the homes of thousands of species worldwide. And yet, I need to illustrate it so that you get the point. So, how is, for example, an opera outing in Europe related to orangutan conservation in Sumatra? The moment you pull out your lipstick, you have a product here which contains palm oil. Palm oil, you will find in about 50% of the packaged products of your average supermarket. And oil palm plantations have been expanding voraciously in Southeast Asia over the last 3 decades, sometimes encroaching on natural forests and on national parks, the homes of orangutan, of tiger, of the Asian elephant, and many other unique species from Southeast Asia. The good news is some industry leaders are really making a statement now that their plantations have not encroached on natural forests and that they are sustainably managed in order not to compromise the life of so much wildlife and biodiversity. And you can find a little label, hopefully, in many of those products in the supermarket that will help you guide your purchasing decisions. Now, let's face it, we are in a species extinction crisis driven by human activities. And I must tell you, I was very saddened and frustrated when I arrived in Costa Rica in 1995 and was no longer able to see the golden toad. This remarkable jewel, unique to the cloud forest of Costa Rica had gone extinct in 1989. And the only thing left of the Costa Rican golden toad are these postcards, which you can buy in the souvenir shops. Extinction is irreversible. And yet you may wonder, well, why should I care about species? Let me tell you first why I care. 24 years ago, I underwent a watershed moment in my life when I survived the attack by a wild male chimpanzee. I was walking in the forest of Lake Tanganyika, and all of a sudden this male chimpanzee called Frodo, by the local researchers, turned towards me and started charging at full speed, then jumped into the air and with his legs on my chest kicked me down on the floor. He started jumping on my ribs. I feared that they would crack, so I started rolling to one side, and then I lied there, motionless, thinking of those images from textbooks that I had read about chimps fighting each other and sometimes killing the opponent with a single bite into the skull. So I thought, my life is really at the mercy of Frodo. And I saw him coming again, and he took his knuckles and started hitting me. 1, 2, 3, 14 times I was counting. And then something remarkable happened. Frodo stopped. And Frodo started grooming my hair in a gesture of apology, perhaps of remorse, and certainly of compassion with this poor guy that lied terrified on the forest floor. And then Frodo walked away. It took me a while to catch my breath, and finally to pose the question, well, there was Frodo's compassion towards me. Where is my compassion towards all those creatures that I so much admire? What is my role? What is my duty here? And I decided to become one of the voices that protects them from human activities that compromise their survival. And when I look at these creatures, many, many species I consider intelligent, with emotions, many of them with a high level of awareness. I once saw a female baboon tell a lie. I was following this group of baboons in Tanzania, and the female saw a nice juicy beetle up on a shrub. But then she saw a male baboon that was coming from behind, much closer to the shrub, was going to get the beetle. And the female immediately uttered this cry, "Wahoo!" which in baboon language means, "Help! This male is attacking me, help!" I know he wasn't. But everybody else in the troop, particularly relatives of that female, came down from the trees and charged at the male, who looked up, confused, not understanding why, and then had to run for his life. And all of them chased him into the distance, except for one, the female baboon. She stayed behind, snatched the beetle, and started munching on it as she watched what the others disappeared in a cloud of dust. Now, yes, I know, many of you, or many of us, will not have often a close encounter of this kind to motivate our conservation action. But for many people, species conservation and caring about it is as simple as species is food. Think of all those marine fish, feeding about 1 billion people in developing countries and sustaining 600 million jobs associated to fisheries and seafood processing. But then there is timber as well, a commodity in very high demand around the world. Well, timber comes from trees, and trees grow somewhere. And that's definitely not in the stores where we buy our furniture. And then medicine. Thousands of drugs come originally from wild species of plants and insects, are then synthesized in the laboratories and packaged nicely in cardboard boxes so that we can very comfortably enjoy them directly from the pharmacy without having to embark in a rainforest expedition every time we fall sick. So people care about species because they care about food security, about health, and about jobs. But there is another lot of people, they care about species because they like to go to the wild. In the wilderness, they experience mental relaxation, some spiritual replenishment, sometimes artistic inspiration. And it all starts with your Sunday walk to your nearby forest, but sometimes it can take you to remote places to watch extraordinary animals like gorillas. In Rwanda, gorilla tourism is a $300 million industry every year, benefiting villagers around gorilla habitats, but also the main source of foreign income for Rwanda. In Costa Rica, it's nature, it's its primary asset for an economy based primarily on tourism. And then there is whale watching. Okay, whale watching is mostly done from boats, up on the surface, Underwater is an unusual way of watching whales. And whale watching industry in 2012 had a turnover of $2 billion. And it's an industry growing at about 10% a year. Recreational divers already 20 years ago were spending $4.1 billion to go into the water, underwater, and then watch the little animals in there, little species, and the big ones as well. So people then care about species because their jobs depend on species. And others care about species because they derive non-tangible benefits by being close to nature. Now, there is much more to species conservation than food, health, raw materials, spiritual replenishment. I'm thinking now of the perspective of a head of state in Africa. Now, more than 20,000 elephants are being shot every year, and 2 elephants will probably have died in the hands of poachers by the end of this presentation to satisfy a market for ivory. Over in Asia, particularly in China and in Thailand, organized criminal gangs are bribing their way through the judiciary and customs to get the ivory across to Asia. And some insurgent groups like Al-Shabaab, Boko Haram, Janjaweed, they have taken this opportunity and, according to some reports, are using the sales of ivory as one more additional source of cash to buy supplies and weapons to commit their atrocities. So if you're a head of state in Africa, species conservation is about national security. It's about an eroding rule of law. It is about lost economic opportunities because some investors will definitely shy away from countries plagued by corruption. And as one high-level official of Gabon told me just a year ago, if an African nation loses its elephants, it will have lost its capacity to govern. And then I think of the symbolic value of species. Those animals that appear in children's books worldwide, used for educational purposes. Give me an animal with an E, or for example, the polar bear that is now telling the story of climate change in the Arctic. Now, all these animals, remember how our eyes used to blink when we read the stories of Tarzan and the Jungle Book. They're icons. They stand for a natural world, a complicated and defying natural world, the origin of humankind, and definitely world heritage, which I hope should be preserved for generations to come, and not just as illustrations in children's books. Let us go back then for a moment to Coimbra, Portugal. The good news about that rhino horn theft is the rhinos were already dead. But that is not the case in Africa. And we have been seeing a rise in poaching since the year 2008 that reached a record high last year of 1,215 rhinos killed illegally to satisfy a market for rhino horn over in Vietnam particularly. And that was the destination of those rhino horns that were stolen in Portugal as well. Because allegedly, rhino horn powder, prepared as tea, can have curatory properties against cancer. And because it is sold as a very expensive hangover cure, to the extent that rhino horn has become a status symbol in affluent segments of Vietnamese society. And what this illustrates is how consumers on one end of the world can potentially drive a species towards extinction all the way across the ocean on another continent. And that is no different from us making irresponsible consumer choices here. If you run a hotel business, if you run a restaurant, you will be looking very carefully at the sourcing of your seafood. You want to make sure that your shrimp, your lobster, your fish, they all come from sustainable fisheries that do not deplete the world's oceans. You would never dream of serving bluefin tuna, sashimi grade from the Mediterranean, because that's one of the best examples of a disaster in fisheries management. And then you will look at your stationery, the wood of the furniture, the timber you use to build your lodge, because that must come from certified forestry operations that do not compromise the integrity of the natural forests. And then your tablecloths, your bed linen, your, what else has cotton? Anything having cotton, your towels, will come from plantations that go about very responsibly with the water irrigation, so that water continues to be a resource that is reliable year after year. And your energy supplies. You will be, of course, looking at renewables, solar, wind power, others, minimizing your CO2 emissions and minimizing thereby your impact on climate change. So there are numerous ways, numerous things that you can do here that can contribute very positively to species sometimes thousands of kilometers away, and to those people whose livelihoods depend on those species. Let me finish by introducing you a remarkable man that I met 3 years ago in India, Mr. Das. He is a ranger in Kaziranga National Park in his mid-40s, and he told me the story of the time when he was riding on the back of an elephant, and in front of him was the veterinary doctor, and in front of the doctor, the mahout was actually driving this elephant through the rice paddy fields around the national park. They were looking for a tigress that was raising havoc, killing cattle left and right. So they wanted to tranquilize this tigress and then move her to a safer place. So here they are on this elephant, moving along the sea of green, and all of a sudden the tigress, furious, jumps out of the rice paddy and leaps 2.5 meters high. With a claw, she reaches out to the mahout, and he lost 3 fingers of his left hand on that occasion. Then the veterinary doctor falls down on the ground. And Mr. Das is seeing him in danger, and that the doctor was. So he lets himself glide down the back of the elephant and then starts shooting into the ground. And that did the trick. The tigress was startled and then ran away. But I had to immediately ask Mr. Das, I mean, how could you just shoot into the ground instead of shooting at this animal in a situation of life or death? But Mr. Das responded very confidently. I've been living in Kaziranga for 24 years, and never an animal has harmed me. What would give me the right to harm this tigress? And indeed, the family of Mr. Das has been living for 24 years off the job of Mr. Das as a ranger, of the wildlife of Kaziranga National Park. And Mr. Das cared very genuinely about the wildlife, about the species. And I argue that every citizen of the world today, in one way or the other, uses wild species or their products and enjoys species. Shouldn't we all care and do our share? Thank you.
Have you been surprised? Yeah? Right? Do you want to be surprised even more? Yeah? Great, only one, but that's great. For our next speaker, he will teach us how astronauts teach us about farming. Please welcome on stage Rodney Rice. Please.
So 1 year ago, almost to the date, it was the 20th of April, 2014, this resupply mission from NASA delivered more than food to the International Space Station. It delivered a way to grow food. Now this will be the first time that food, plants grown in space, are not used only for studies, but also for consumption. That's the arrival of space farming. Commander Steve Swenson is in front of Veggie. Veggie is a mini greenhouse that can produce lettuce just like this one, in space. It uses 10 times less water than traditional agriculture. It takes less power than a desktop computer. And to transport, it took 6 times less space than to operate. Bringing anything to space from Earth costs its weight in gold, so resources there are precious. Should we treat our natural resources the same way? When I look at the globe, I see Brazil, the country I was born, a country blessed with many natural resources, Still, a few weeks ago, I read an article in the press about the severe drought that's happening in São Paulo. São Paulo is a metropolitan area with 27 million people. And they're having a drought that's one of the worst for the past 100 years. Now, this journalist was asking this lady how she was going to cope with the drought. And Brazilians are known to have several showers during the day. So he was asking her, are you going to have less showers? Or are you going to have quicker showers? Unfortunately, a second shower is not the most pressing issue we have when we have water shortage. Every minute around the world, a child dies from water-related diseases. 10 years, 2/3 of humanity are expected to suffer from a form of water shortage. And this is not an emerging market problem only. OECD countries, industrialized nations, are expected to have their water consumption grow by 65% by 2050. That's a lot faster than the rest of the world. So if we were to put all the water in the world into one big droplet right next to our planet, that's what it would look like. Of that, only 1% is fresh water. Of this 1%, 2/3 are frozen on our polar caps and on our glaciers. And of what's left, 70% is used in agriculture. Water security is food security. But if we can farm with less water in space, surely we can farm more efficiently here on Earth. We can use some of these ideas. So I lead a Swiss startup called Combo Group, and that's exactly what we set up to do: efficient farming. This is our research and development greenhouse, not far from here, from Lausanne, and we are growing salads out of earth. We spray a mix of nutrients and water directly onto the roots using a technology called aeroponics. What's not used, it's recycled. And for every kilo of salad we produce, we save 180 liters of water. However, most salad doesn't grow like this. So I want to tell you the story of a salad from when it's born to the end of its life, hopefully fulfilling its mission, which is to feed us. And to do that, I want to go back to the place I came from before coming to Switzerland. I want to go back to the UK. Now, I used to live in this lovely village in the countryside of England, and it had a wonderful pub, a tea house, and a church, but not much else. And around, I had a lot of fields for agriculture. Now, during the cold months, particularly during winter, not much grew there, but certainly not salad. Still, I could go to the nearest market and I could buy fresh salad any time of the year. More than half the year, this salad will be coming from the south of Spain. The two main places are Murcia and Almeria. They'll be driven 2,300 kilometers in the back of a truck for over 3 days. And by the time they arrive in England, they'll have lost more than half of their vitamin C. What's the impact on waste? What's the impact on the environment? Well, let's talk about waste first. Imagine these are 100 salads growing on the field in Spain, trying to fulfill their mission. 17 will be lost before they're harvested. 9 will make to the shops but won't be purchased because they don't look that good. And the biggest amount of waste will happen at home. We throw away 45% of the salad we buy. Why do we do this? Why do we pay for it and throw it away? The main reason is short shelf life. It goes past its expiry date, it smells bad, it tastes bad, so we throw it away. So the days it's been traveling in the back of a truck are important days that they could be with us. And if we could cut the level of waste we have with salads by 50% and make it, instead of the number 1 in food waste, the number 2 in food waste, which isn't a great track record, we could save 300 liters of water for every kilo of salad we eat. Now that's enough for that lady to have a second shower every day of the week for 1 week. Unfortunately, these salads don't grow in Brazil, they grow in Spain. And water reserves in Spain per capita are 12 times smaller than the water reserves in Brazil. These salads grow in one of the most arid places of Europe. In the south of Spain, they have half the average rainfall of Spain. They have 6 times less rainfall than we have in the UK. Still, they export the equivalent of 100 million cubic meters of water in the form of salads to other countries in Europe. What should we do? Should we stop eating salad when it's wintertime? Well, water reserves in the UK per capita are more or less the same as in Spain. And salads, lettuce, is one of the most water efficient crops we can have. If we replace 1 kilo of salad by 1 kilo of potato, we'll be using twice as much water. If you want a little milk, it's 8 times more water. If you want a kilo of beef, that's 15,000 liters of water, as opposed to 200 liters of water that is required to grow 1 kilo of lettuce. Furthermore, there's a lot of sunshine in the south of Spain. That's why we go there for holidays. It's twice as much sunshine than we get in the UK. And plants need light and heat to grow. So if we were to grow these plants in a greenhouse in the UK and use electricity to light and heat this greenhouse, we would spend more money and emit more carbon than actually we do bringing them by truck all the way from Spain. So this seems to be the most efficient way for us to eat salad all year round. But is that how an astronaut will look at the problem? We saw how we could grow salad with 10 times less water. Well, we can also start by using light that's more efficient. We can give the plants only the colors they need, red and blue. That's why you see the purple light on the picture. Now, these salads, they grow in the air. And when they're small, we can huddle them closely together and gradually give them more space as they grow. That way, we can produce 2 times more salad per square meter than we would in the field, and use the energy from the light and heating more efficiently. We could also use waste heat to warm up the greenhouse. Here in Switzerland, we're going to build a large-scale project right next to a biogas plant. Now, this power plant throws away heat and CO2 as a byproduct of energy production. These resources are precious. We'll connect our greenhouse to this power plant and warm it up during winter, also using the CO2 to accelerate plant growth. By doing that, the carbon footprint we have per kilo produced is 5 times lower than doing the same thing on the field here in Switzerland. However, energy footprint in the UK is 70 times higher than what we have in Switzerland. There are a lot of renewables here, and we burn a lot of coal in the UK to generate electricity. So would that math also work for the same ideas in Britain? In fact, we could produce during winter with the same CO2 footprint that the field can produce during summer in the UK, and even lower during winter when we don't need to light them up to complement the lights. But furthermore, we could provide a product that's fresher, locally produced, and hopefully reduce the amount of waste, reducing the carbon footprint per kilo consumed, and bringing it to less than half of what we have right now, importing food from Spain. Ultimately, we throw more food away than we consume today. This is happening right now. We're growing these plants right next to you. We will be serving the salad today, so you'll be able to taste it. And if you could replace only 10% of the food imports in the world, that would be enough to offset the carbon footprint for 1 million people, and would save enough water for 30 million people to have a shower every day during the year, the whole of São Paulo and a bit more. We could even bring the salad alive to our kitchens, extending space farming all the way to our homes. Have a product that has a longer shelf life, more vitamins, and reducing waste, therefore saving our natural resources. This is our team. We try to dress like astronauts, we try to think like astronauts, but what we learn from astronauts about farming is that we can farm with less water, less energy, and less waste. And by doing that, we can have food that's fresher, healthier, and better for the planet. Thank you.
Now, how are you doing? Are you sure? Yeah? Is it interesting? Yeah? Well, thank God. I mean, it's interesting. Now what we are going to show you is a video, because during each TEDx event, we need to show 2 pre-recorded TED Talks. And the one following, well, they're all really interesting, but we chose this one because it, you know, there was like some feeling inside me. I was like, yeah, I need to show that to you guys. So it's about Neil Harbison. He's a speaker who was born colorblind, but thanks to one particular device, he managed to turn colors into audible frequencies. I will say no more, just enjoy.
Well, I was born with a rare visual condition called achromatopsia, which is total color blindness. So I've never seen color, and I don't know what color looks like, because I come from a grayscale world. To me, the sky is always gray, flowers are always gray, and television is still in black and white. But since the age of 21, instead of seeing color, I can hear color. In 2003, I started a project with computer scientist Adam Montandon, and the result, with further collaborations with TEDxEcoleHoteliereLausanne from Slovenia and Matthias Lizana from Barcelona, is this electronic eye. It's a color sensor that detects the color frequency in front of me and sends this frequency to a chip installed at the back of my head, and I hear the color in front of me through the bone, through bone conduction. So for example, if I have like, this is the sound of purple. For example, this is the sound of grass. This is red, like that. This is the sound of a dirty sock, which is like yellow, this one. So I've been hearing color all the time for 8 years, since 2004, so I find completely normal now to hear color all the time. At start though, I had to memorize the names you give for each color, so I had to memorize the notes, but after some time all this information became a perception. I didn't have to think about the notes. And after some time this perception became a feeling. I started to have favorite colors, and I started to dream in color. So when I started to dream in color is when I felt that the software and my brain had united, because in my dreams it was my brain creating electronic sound, it wasn't the software. So that's when I started to feel like a cyborg. It's when I started to feel that the cybernetic device was no longer a device. It had become a part of my body, an extension of my senses. And after some time, it even became a part of my official image. This is my passport from 2004. You're not allowed to appear on UK passports with electronic equipment, but I insisted to the passport office that what they were seeing was actually a new part of my body, an extension of my brain, and they finally accepted me to appear with a passport for them. So life has changed dramatically since I hear color, because color is almost everywhere. So biggest changes, for example, is going to an art gallery. I can listen to a Picasso, for example. So it's like going to a concert hall, because I can listen to the paintings. And supermarkets, I find this is very shocking, very, very attractive to walk along a supermarket. It's like going to a nightclub. It's full of different melodies. Especially the aisle with cleaning products. It's just fabulous. Also, the way I dress has changed. Before I used to dress in a way that it looked good. Now I dress in a way that it sounds good. So today I'm dressed in C major, so it's quite a happy chord. If I had to go to a funeral, though, I would dress in B minor, which would be turquoise, purple, and orange. Also, food. The way I look at food has changed, because now I can display the food on a plate so I can eat my favorite song. So depending on how I display it, I can hear and I can compose music with food. So imagine a restaurant where we can have like Lady Gaga salads as starters. This would get teenagers to eat their vegetables probably. And also some Rachmaninoff piano concertos as main dishes, and some Björk or Madonna desserts. That would be a very exciting restaurant where you can actually eat songs. Also, the way I perceive beauty has changed, because when I look at someone, I hear their face. So someone might look very beautiful but sound terrible, and it might happen the opposite, the other way around. So I really enjoy creating like sound portraits of people. Instead of drawing someone's face, like drawing the shape, I point at them with the eye and I write down the different notes I hear, and then I create sound portraits. Here's some faces. Sounds good. Some people I would never relate, but they sound similar. Prince Charles has some similarities with Nicole Kidman. They have similar sound of eyes, so you relate people that you wouldn't relate. And you can actually also create sound concerts by looking at the audience faces. So I connect the eye and then I play the audience's faces. The good thing about this is if the concert doesn't sound good, it's their fault. It's not my fault. And so another thing that happens is that I started having this secondary effect. The normal sounds started to become color. I heard a telephone tone and it felt green because it sounded just like the color green. The BBC beeps, they sound turquoise. And listening to Mozart became a yellow experience. So I started to paint music and paint people's voices, because people's voices have frequencies that I relate to color. And here's some music translated into color. For example, Mozart, Queen of the Night, looks like this. Very yellow and very colorful because there's many different frequencies. And this is a completely different song. It's Justin Bieber's Baby. So it's very pink and very yellow. So also voices, I can transform speeches into color. For example, these are two very well-known speeches. One of them is Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream, and the other one is Hitler. And I like to exhibit these paintings in the exhibition halls without labels, and then I ask people, which one do you prefer? And most people change their preference when I tell them that the one on the left is Hitler. and the one on the right is Martin Luther King. So I got to a point when I was able to perceive 360 colors, just like human vision. I was able to differentiate all the degrees of the color wheel, but then I just thought that this human vision wasn't good enough. There's many, many more colors around us that we cannot perceive, but the electronic eyes can perceive. So I decided to continue extending my color senses, and I added infrared and I added ultraviolet to the color to sound scale. So now I can hear colors that the human eye cannot perceive. For example, perceiving infrared is good because you can actually detect if there's movement detectors in a room. I can hear if someone points at me with a remote control. And the good thing about perceiving ultraviolet is that you can hear if it's a good day or a bad day to sunbathe. Because ultraviolet is a dangerous color, a color that can actually kill us. So I think we should all have this wish to perceive things that we cannot perceive. That's why 2 years ago I created the Cyborg Foundation, which is a foundation that tries to help people become a cyborg, tries to encourage people to extend their senses by using technology as part of the body. We should all think that knowledge comes from our senses, so if we extend our senses, we will consequently extend our knowledge. I think life will be much more exciting when we stop creating applications for mobile phones and we start creating applications for our own body. I think this will be a big, big change that we'll see during this century. So I do encourage you all to think about which senses you'd like to extend. I would encourage you to become a cyborg. You won't be alone. Thank you.
See colors? It's no way. Okay. Another subject, another talk. Every day we consume without thinking. We eat, we drink, we buy stuff. Us girls, we go shopping, boys not that much. And why do we do that? Is there a more intelligent way to do that? The next speaker has a very interesting insight about how we could consume in a more intelligent way and even being more efficient than we already are. Let me introduce you, Michael Dupertuis.
Good afternoon. So, I will talk today about servicing. And I know about what you are thinking today. Because servicing, at the end, we are in the biggest hospitality school in the world. You know about that. So today, I will just share with you what the industry, and especially the product industry, has to learn from you. Today, we are facing a major problematic. We are consuming a lot of things, a lot of products. And to make these products, we need to extract natural raw resources, to transform them, to consume, and at the end, we put that as a waste into the bin. Finished. But we are now running out of natural raw resources. We know that if we continue this way, with the growth of the economy, we will waste on all the main metals at the end of the century. Servicing. The idea is to transform a product into a service and make the revenue of this service being really completely related by the intensity of use of it. I will show you during the talk 3 different examples of companies that made really the change from traditional business model to servicing. I told you, we are facing now one of the main problematic issues of the future. For the children, I think it's now time to think about how we can evolve in our economic business model. Are you willing to continue in this way, having, this big cost or consumption, having to consume a lot for making the company to survive? Is it something that is really making you happy? Because there is a new way to solve this problematic. My first example will be with the car industry. And first, a question. How many of you came here to this talk with your own car? Just raise your hand. More than 50% of the people. I must admit, I did the same. That's stupid. Let's say like that. That's stupid. We can do much more better. And today, what is happening with cars? We are paying for a car to stay during the whole night waiting for us on a car park. We are paying insurances to do nothing. We are paying taxes, we are paying for maintenance when we use that. A company here in Switzerland, think about that and say that at the end, we do not need a car, we need to travel. So they transform, as servicizing is doing, a product car into a service. This service is called mobility, perhaps you know about that. But what is great with them, and I will show you an example, is that if you would like to visit your grandparents this evening for a cheese fondue, you can book directly your car, go to the nearest car park, take the car, have the ride, have nice time with your grandparents, come back, just leave the car at the car park, have your life, and you will be only, you will have only to pay for the use of the car during the time and the distance you made. That's great, and that's radically transforming the way we are doing business. Because for the company side, what is happening? They are able right now, for their 120,000 customers, to share 3,000 cars. It means that one car is shared by 40 people. That's amazing. That's what we can do. And from the customer perspective, what is great is that at any moment, they have big quality of services. Perhaps one day they will look for a small car just to go inside the town, do some shopping, and come back really quickly. But sometimes they need perhaps a truck for a lot of things to take to the home. And they can really book that depending their needs. That's servicizing, transforming a product, the car, into a service. Another point that is completely interesting in this model is that companies are keeping the ownership of the goods through all the business cycle. So it means that the consumer are not the owners of the product, they are the users. And we know that thanks to that, the companies are really taking care of the quality and the possibility to have the product stay much longer in the business. Because they rely on that. They need high quality of products to survive in the business. The example will be shown in the second example. The hotel industry. There is a lot of competition for bed makers today. They have to produce high quality beds at the lowest price possible. And so it's really amazing how they are facing the different market competitors and how they can face it. And also from the hotel owner perspective, it's really risky right now to invest in new rooms or even in beds because they are putting some capital, sleeping, let's say. So one company, and some other right now, thought about that and said, but how can I do something that will help my customers not to be risky in his business and from my side, being more sustainable in my business? So if we take back servicizing, what could be done? The company put some pressure sensor inside the bed. They provide the bed to the hotel owner. If the bed is used during a night, so they will bill the hotel owner for the night that was spent on the bed. The hotel owner has not to take any risk in the business. It's taken by the bed maker. But at the end, what is really great in this model is that when the bed, after 2009, will be finished, it won't be a waste as any other product can be. It will be taken back by the company, take the raw material from the beds, and make another one, a new one, that will be the future bed provided in the business cycle. So it means that in the traditional business, when you see a product as its end cycle as a waste, some other companies will see that as a new business value to come. My last example is something that is really touching me because it's in my own company. In 2008, I created with some friends that were really concerned about the environmental impacts of our lifestyle. We created a solution, smart plugs, that globally are able to measure energy consumption. Could be from television, coffee machine, printers, and so on. And what we are doing is that we are providing to the user the possibility to understand better their energy consumption through a web portal. From 2011 to 2014, we were, as all the other companies, providing the devices for the consumer to use it and to take some orders when they need that. We were running like hell to survive. Sometimes we were good, sometimes bad. But at the end, I was not comfortable with that. It was not really something applying with what I feel that something really important and really changing the things in this aspect. And so I heard about servicizing, and I think to myself, we have to do something. And we arrived to a new model that is called the performance servicizing. What is it? I will just take an example. Vending machines. You know, Coca-Cola and so on, all this stuff that you can buy. It's consuming the same amount of energy as an household of 4 people. Only one vending machine equals 4 people during the whole year. That's amazing. What we are doing is we are providing and investing in companies, collectivities, to shut down these devices when they are not used, during the night, the weekend, the holidays. And thanks to the performance we got, thanks to the energy savings we are making, so financial savings, we receive a share of the earnings. That's performance servicizing, and it changed radically the way that we are doing business. Today, we are really focused on making energy services and reduction of energy. Yesterday, we were running to sell products. That's completely different, and the mindset of the team completely changed. So, servicizing, for me, is one big key to change the way that we are consuming things. And my question to you right now will be, would you like to stay only consumers? Or would you like to be part also of this new change? Because that's a big opportunity right now that is given to you as future entrepreneur. You can also be part of this game. And that will be good not only for your businesses, but also for your children. Because at the end, the goal is to be able to decouple economic growth from the consumption of raw material resources. Thanks a lot.
Well, it was a surprise, but wait, I think you know what's going on now. For our last talk, for this first session, we wanted to inspire you with a different way, with a universal way, with music. They're coming from the US and England for you today. Please welcome on stage Alison Bryan and Joe Hood. Enjoy.
You know, I really love TED. I really, really love TED. Oh, his eyes, his nose, his fingers, his toes, his smile when he says please, and when he sneezes, ow, his sneeze, his arms, chest, coat, vest, his everything is sweet of the sweets. I try, but honest to Pete, I can't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. I can't stop talking about him, the man that I adore. I can't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. I can't stop talking about him, and though I seem a bore, I simply can't stop telling about him and yelling about him and telling about him. I can't stop over and over the moment that we met. He had a pinstripe, what do you call it, a beautiful smile and a beautiful money. I can't stop talking about him yet. He kissed me on a bow and oh, whistle went, ooh, trap door open, and I stepped right through. And now I can't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. And if he was yours, well, neither would you. I can't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. Well, I won't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. I can't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. I can't stop talking about the man that I adore. I can't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. I can't stop talking about him and now I see my power. I can't stop telling about him and yelling about him and telling about him. I can't stop over and over the moment that we met. He had a pinstripe, what do you call it, beautiful smile and beautiful money. I can't stop talking about him yet. He kissed me on a bow and fall. So went, ooh, a trap door open and I slipped right through. And now I can't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. And if it was yours, well, neither would you. Stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him and talking about him until your face turned blue. I'm talking about him and talking about him and talking about him and talking about him more day through. Ladies and gentlemen, at the piano, Mr. Joe Hood. It's interesting. Some people love musical theater, some people do not love musical theater, and some people, I've found, have never thought about musical theater. Not once in their entire lives. I forgive them. My name is Alison Bryan, and I'm here today because I'm a storyteller. I mean, I'm a singer, but to me they're the same thing. And another word for storyteller is liar. Sorry, I hate that word. In my family growing up, we weren't even allowed to ever call anyone a liar. I can still hear a chorus of tiny voices from my childhood. He who calls his brother liar is in danger of the burning fire. Sound familiar? Anyone? Eh? So you didn't grow up in a family of 7 children and you've never thought about musical theater? People. Of course, storyteller can mean liar, but it can also mean the exact opposite. And what I learned when I went to school and trained in the technical skills required for theatrically viable storytelling, what I learned is that the very best stories involve truth. In a college singing class, I was once told by my teacher, Gail, "Alison, no one wants to hear you sing. They want you to tell a story." Or in other words, as I now say to my students, don't hide behind the pretty notes. I don't want a musical experience. I want an emotional experience. But how do you get there? How do you create an emotional experience? How do you get people to feel something? How do you communicate and connect in meaningful ways? How do you do it? You do it by telling the truth. It's been said that the shortest distance between a human being and the truth is a story. So here's a little story for you. When I was a young adult, I was cast in a university production of Evita, which is a musical story about the life of Eva Perón, Argentina's former First Lady. Help me out, Joe. Perhaps you know it. You do know it. Yes. You have thought about musical theater. I knew it. So, in preparation, I watched actual video footage so that I could look just like Eva Perón, clearly. I rehearsed all of the super high belting songs so that I could sing and sound just right, but more than somehow getting it right, I wanted to make it real. The problem was I just couldn't relate to this character. We had nothing in common. I had never been a radio star. I had never been a political figure. I had never been a politician. I had never been married. I had never traveled the world. I'd never had cancer. So I dug deep, searching for anything to connect me to this complicated woman's story, trying desperately to find some common ground. And after a lot of study and a bit of navel gazing, I discovered that yes, we did indeed share certain setbacks and conflicts and inner strength. But the great epiphany for me was that the quantum leap to a genuine performance was not so much about being Eva Perón as it was about being me. When I brought my own authentic, real self to the work, then the story became true. I was unique. Just like this 20th century icon was unique, just like each of you is unique. I bang my own drum in life. I deal my own deck. So rather than the sham of trying to be someone else, and remembering that in fact, no one really wanted to hear me sing, thank you, Gail, I decided to show myself and tried to communicate with every song and every story, every scene, that this woman's story was somehow my story. I am what I am, and I'm trying to tell this story as truthfully as I can, and it's a little scary, but I'm doing the best I can. And this is all I've got, in any case. And that seismic shift in perspective helped me understand, for the first time really, that what I was studying as an actor was not the fine art of pretend. It was the fine art of being real, of revealing myself, the hardest character of all to play, honestly, and being fully present and vulnerable and truthful in front of an audience. So now you're asking yourself, what does storytelling and authenticity have to do with your profession, and what on earth you might have in common with a theater singer? But aren't we all on stage every day? We're certainly on stage when we put on a uniform, or a name tag, or a title, director, manager, CEO. We're on stage in meetings. We're on stage on the phone, at the front desk. And happily, hopefully, we have some good off-stage time too, right? At home in our bathrobe, on holiday with the family, out to dinner with friends. And in every interaction, in every role, if you will, meaningful connections happen when we are authentic, honest, fully present, and real. It would be so much easier to just pretend on stage and in life. But it's much more courageous and compelling and ultimately healing when we put our story out there with all the integrity that we can muster and say, hey world, this is who I really am, warts and all, no excuses. Come take a look. My friends, we are all storytellers, and our stories connect us. Life is a beautiful mystery, and once you've lived even a little, You have something to say about the human condition. You have a story to tell, so tell it, share it, shout it if you must. But dare to be authentic. Because the wonderful thing about your story is that there is no right or wrong. There is only true. Oh, and another thing. No one wants to hear you sing. And another thing, hydrate. I am my own special creation. So come, take a look. Give me the hook or the ovation. It's my world that I want to have a little pride in. My world, and it's not a place I have to hide in. Life's not worth a damn till you can say, hey world, I am what I am. I am what I am. I don't want praise. I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some think it's noise. I think it's pretty. And so what if I love each sparkle and each spangle? Why not try to see things from a different angle? Your life is a sham till you can shout out loud, I am what I am. I am what I am, and what I am needs no excuses. I deal my own deck, sometimes the ace, sometimes the deuces. There's one life, and there's no return and no deposit. One life, so it's time to open up your closet. Life's not worth a damn till you can shout, hey world, I am what Thank you so much.
Wow, it was amazing, and I will just keep on saying I am who I am. Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite you for a break. Remember, your brain is a muscle, and sometimes you need a break. During this break, you will find 4 activities to fit our brains. Great. So please enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed this small little good break. And well, I hope you also understand that through this break we wanted you to inspire you in other ways around our theme Feed Your Brain through the Marshmallow Challenge. I don't know if, did some of you try it? Yeah? And did you manage it? Without the marshmallow? Yeah, well, that's not a marshmallow challenge. 2
seconds or something like that with a marshmallow.
That's a record. That's okay. And yeah, so we did have the marshmallow challenge. Well done for trying. I didn't manage it. We had the feed corner. Did some of you try the strawberries? You did try the strawberries? Did you like the strawberries? Yeah, I also like the strawberries. Pun? And the salad, of course, the salad. We had salad, strawberries, we had some pochette. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was my main point. We also had some 3D printers. Did you see it? Yes? I am glad you did, because right now I'm about to introduce you to the owner of this 3D printer. As a successful entrepreneur, Mr. Philippe Guglielmetti will try to give you a few tips about how to start a company from scratch. Please welcome him.
Thank you. It's 1984, and I'm 19. I am bothering at the university, but I have a girlfriend. She's making boxer shorts. She's making silk boxer shorts that she's selling at the university. I think it's cool. Then I decided, I go to her and I say, hey, you and me, we are going to launch a company. We are going to make millions of silk boxer shorts. Then we are going to sell all over the planet. She is looking at me like if I was a fool or an idiot. Saying, are you crazy? You're not serious. By the way, 10 days after that, she wasn't my girlfriend anymore, because I was not serious enough. But I decided to launch the company on my own. I already knew that to be successful, we have to be different. Then the idea was, if I print some well-known characters on the t-shirts, on the boxer shorts, I will be different to the other, and I will sell more. Because I'm a very pragmatic person, I went to a bookshop. I purchased the Lucky Luke book, which was a very famous character at this time. Here is the guy. At the back of the book was the name of the editor, Dargaud, and the city Neuilly. I searched in the yellow pages, the phone number, found it, and I called them. Hi, I'm young, I want to launch a company. I want to print Lucky Luke on t-shirts and boxer shorts. And they say, okay, you are lucky. The license is free. Come and visit us. And here I am, 1 week after that, in front of Mr. Garino, I remember the name, at Dargaud. He is explaining to me how it's working. Well, young boy, you are going to pay some royalties. This should be 7% of the revenue. Are you okay with that? Yes, of course, I'm okay with that. Then he told me we are going to sign the contract. Avaloir will be $500,000 of French francs. I asked the guy, what is Avaloir? Literally, that means to be due. And I asked, what is Avaloir? The answer was, Avaloir is what you are going to pay us upfront today. It's the minimum royalty that we will get. If you sell more, you will pay in addition. I was more than disappointed because my pockets were empty. And I told the guy, I'm sorry, it's not going to work. I'm no money. At this time, he looked at me and said, wait for me 5 minutes, please. And he went out of the meeting room. 5 minutes later, the guy was back, telling me, Philippe, you seem to be a personable person. You don't lie. And then we are going to sign the contract with you with no Avaloir. I take this opportunity to ask for other characters, and I told the guy, can I have also the Dalton on Achille Talon, which were well-known characters at this time? And the guy said, I guess yes, it's available also. And here I am, out of Dargaud with my super contract, no Avaloir. I decided to call Dupuis, which was another editor, also in Paris. I got my meeting. It was a woman this time. I was sitting in front of her. She was explaining to me that I have to pay 7% of royalties. I was okay with that, of course. And then she told me, Avaloir would be 300,000 French francs. My answer was, I'm sorry, I don't pay Avaloir. Then she looked at me in the eyes and said, sir, if you don't pay Avaloir this business, nobody is going to sign a contract with you. I took the Dargaud contract out of my bag and showed her the Dargaud contract. She was really surprised. She asked me, can I go out for 5 minutes? Yes, do, please do. Then she went out. I think she spoke with her boss. She came back and said, we don't really understand why, but we are going to align with Dargaud, and then you will have no Avaloir to pay. And I said, thank you. And this is how I launched my first company. Nobody has told me it was impossible to sign a contract, because it was impossible. With the Avaloir, then I asked for that, and I got it. I did, this is not for me, it's for Mark Twain. My advice to the young people in this room who want to be some entrepreneur one day, don't wait. Because if you wait, people are going to tell you it's too difficult. It's impossible. And you know what? You are going to believe them. Then if you want to launch a company, do it as soon as possible. Ten years later, well, I was bothering myself again. I had an IT service company, 15 employees. It was running, but not working. And then something new was there. It was called the internet. The first vision we had with my partner was that the internet was going to be the perfect channel for e-commerce. Because it was a network, everybody was claiming those days, that internet was a medium, such as TV, press, radio, when we knew it was not a medium, but a network. And the beauty of a network is that you can connect with other networks. And it was possible to connect the internet with the credit card payment systems, with the inventory system, and it was the perfect tool for e-commerce. And we decided to launch a company to develop e-commerce website for merchants. We start to see investors who told us, are you crazy guys? People are going to buy shoes on a computer one day? This will never happen. People are going to buy food on a computer? People are going to buy anything on a computer? This will not happen. Signed one other contract and came back to us, and we'll see. Then we went to merchants, claiming that they will have revenue on the internet. They did not really believe us. We had an idea. We told them, okay, guys, if you don't trust us, if you don't believe us, we propose a contract to you. We do your e-commerce website for free, and you give us a 5 to 10 year exclusivity on the internet, and we will have some commission. And the first one started to say yes. They thought that it was a good way for them to be on the web for no expenses. And then we signed several of them. On the first website that we put online was a sport goods website. This is the current one, not the old one. It's Gospel. We have made it very seriously. We have invested in a marketing online campaign, which at this time was in fact banners on Yahoo because Google was not existing. And we were ready for orders. On the day of the grand opening, all the company, 25 years, we went in front of the monitoring screens, waiting for the first orders. And then we pushed the button. Nothing happened. No orders, not only one. What did we do? Did we decide to change the business model of the company? Did we decide to do something else? No, we did not. Why? Because we believe hardly in our vision. And our vision was that one day people will buy on the internet. Then we keep going, we kept going, developing website on website, 96, 97, 98, and then in 98, people start to buy on the internet. On a bit more, on a bit more, on a bit more. And we became leader. And every investment fund wants to invest in our company. And we had investors from the US, from Singapore. The company grew to 1,400 employees in 13 countries in Europe. We took the company public on the French stock market. We took the company public on the German stock market. The value of the company rocketed to $2 billion. I became the youngest CEO of a company, member of the SBF 120 index in Europe at the age of 35. And after that, we sold the company to Verizon. My advice number 2 would be, even if 95% of the people you talk with, even if 99% of the investors tell you that your idea is not a good one, and it's not going to work, it's not going to happen, if you really believe in your project, keep going, keep going. This is me. 2 years ago, I was bothering. I've just sold my previous company. And something was new out there. It's called 3D printing. It is super cool. It's phenomenal. The vision we had was immediately, this is going to be a mailbox. Everybody will one day have a 3D printer in his house. to be able to receive small objects, which are going to be 3D print. Again, we went to investors. They start to nervous. And we explain, hey guys, we are going to do mailboxes. Mailboxes. But it's taking 3 hours to print, you know? And the quality is not so good. We say, yes, we know that. But one day, you know, that will happen. Then they told us, okay, when you will have sold 10,000 3D printer, come back to us. Then we decided to launch our own crowdfunding campaign that we did on Kickstarter. This is, at this time, it's a long time ago, 2 years ago. They told us, you are a French company. Sorry guys, we only accept US companies. Okay? We incorporate a company in the US. And 1 week after, we call them back, hey, we're American now. Welcome. Then we have launched this Kickstarter campaign. And well, we have been funded. We continue developing the company. And because 55% of the sales were from the US, we decided to move to the US with our families, and the team, and everybody is now in San Francisco. Why have we done that? Well, because nobody has told us, than our European people, they just can't go in the US and sell on the US market and they don't know, you know, that it is impossible. Then we don't know that it is impossible. Then we are just doing it. And also because we believe in our vision. This will be my third advice. For us, for the team, for me, it would have been much more easy to stay in France where I am well known. The investors, they know me, you know, after all those companies. To stay in my business, which was more or less the IT services business. Then what I am doing in San Francisco, where people, they speak English, working on this new business. Because I am an entrepreneur, they are never better, but when they are out of their comfort zone. Then this will be my third and last advice to you guys. When you will have launched your first company, and the second one, don't forget it. Go out of your comfort zone. It will be the place where you will be the best. Here it is, last sentence. Each day of my life, I feed my brain. I really do it. Often in the evening, I'm able to measure what I have learned this day. What I try to do today is to feed your brain, and if I have succeeded a bit, I'm glad of it. Thank you.
We just got 3 advices. Now I'm wondering, we're in a hospitality school. Can we maybe use those 3 advices into the hospitality industry? With one equation, our next speaker, Sarah Baraki, MBA student of École Hôtelière de Lausanne. Please welcome him under a warm of applause.
Okay, I'm leaving. H equals H. Hospitality equals humanity. The new business equation. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zahar Baraki. I'm here studying my executive MBA at École HôtelireLausanne. I know what you're thinking. With this white hair, he's a professor, not a student. But the fun part of it, every time I go to have my lunch in the school here, I always get the discount of the professor. And the interesting part is that I don't tell them. I just keep quiet. I hope they are not listening, then they will change the procedures. I want to start about my story, and I promise you, Alison, that it is a true story. It's not a lie. I want you, for 1 minute, to go with me, imagine that little boy. A little boy spent his first few years during his childhood in shelter, and he lost his father when he was 11 years old. It was a tough time during the civil war in Lebanon. He realized at that time that he has to find a job to support his family. He managed to find a job. Based on his basic few skills, as you can imagine at that age, 11 years old, he managed to find a job helping a plumber in his little own village. It was tough. And after a few years, he realized that he has to find and learn new skills, which will allow him to find a better job, better salary, where he can help his family even better. He started looking around, and the only option at that time was attending a vocational school. It was expensive, but thinking about it, it was not that expensive. The fee per year equaled a price of a decent bottle of wine. But for a family struggling to find food, it was expensive. So his mother went around asking for help from families, literally begging to help her son go to that school. She managed to do so. He is very lucky. He had a strong mother to help him, and he attended the school. And it was a life-changing experience for him, because he learned a lot of skills, which allowed him to go and work in the best 5-star hotel in his capital, Beirut. And after a few years working there, he managed to learn new skills and meeting new people, where they allowed him to go and work in London and spend there 10 years working in the best hospitality places. Ladies and gentlemen, that little boy was me. Even I managed to achieve few of my dreams in my life. Every single time I travel to Lebanon and I look at the stage of my friends, I realize their struggles to find a good salary and a good job to help their families. And I always ask myself, how can I help? And after working in hotels, I realized that hotels can be the solution. Working between Beirut, London, and Dubai in the best hotels, I realized that these training centers are not used to the maximum. As you all know, corporations train their staff for a few hours a week, but the rest of the time these centers are empty. And here my idea started to take shape. What about if these hotels go to their local community? Imagine a hotel in Nairobi. 5-star hotel, they have their facilities, training, kitchen, restaurants. Go to their local community. Bring 5 or 10 people from this local community and help them and train them. Few basic skills. Can be computer skills, can be a foreign language, can be even cooking skills. Why not using their kitchens to help them? Why not using their restaurants to teach them few service skills? The benefits for these people will be huge. They will be able to find a job in that place. They will be able as well to go outside and find another job. Or perhaps they can open their own business. And when they are successful, they will ultimately help others. We live in a world of shared economy. All of us heard about Uber, about Airbnb, these powerful systems of connecting communities. How can hotels follow the same system by sharing their facilities with the local people who are in need, who are unfortunate, who don't have the chance like I had in the past, and teach them few skills. Teach them how to fish instead of feeding them. Benefits of hospitality are huge as well. To mention few, marketing. Hotels will have a strong marketing story to tell. They will have a big impact on society. One of the other benefits will be the employees themselves. These employees will feel more passionate about helping and working there. Why? Because they are training their families, their friends, their relatives, people coming from the same local community, from the same background, from the same struggles. Think about it. All corporations around the world face one of the biggest challenges: how to keep staff morale high and how to keep them more passionate. By doing so, hotels will solve one of the biggest challenges. To illustrate my idea to you, I made a simple calculation. The figure you will see on the screen is the total number of hotels in the world. I made an educated guess. I just took 10% of these hotels. If these hotels, only 10%, follow this new business equation, the result, ladies and gentlemen, is 10 million new trained workers every year. This is huge. This is 3 times the population of my country, Lebanon. H equals H. Hospitality equals humanity. Hotels care about their staff, about shareholders, about their guests. But what about if they start caring about the local community, people in need, people who are unfortunate? What if I didn't have the chance to attend that vocational school? What if I didn't have a strong mother who supported me? I would have not been able representing my story in front of you here. I would have not been able traveling and working in the best cities and places in the world. Even though I would have not been able to study here at that glamorous school in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I truly believe that hotels in particular and hospitality industry in general, if they follow this new business equation, they will offer a powerful solution for local communities around the world and help to improve many people's lives. H equal H. Hospitality equals humanity. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that you will agree with me. This new business equation will be the future of hospitality. Thank you.
No idea how to do that. I'm so sorry. I had no idea also how to introduce you to the second video we're going to show you today. So I will just say surprise. Well, you do have a small hint, a small one. And yeah, enjoy.
We ready to fly. Time to leave that bitch. The single times the rest. We got work. Here we go. Time to leave that bitch. The single time the rest. We got work. Here we go. One more time. Time to leave that bitch. The single time the rest. We got work. Here we go. Thank you very much.
You know what? I think I've eaten too much during the break, like really. So, you know what? I heard from some of you, the cookies were good. It was really non-healthy. The salads were good. It was really healthy. So, I've maybe an idea. Let's stretch up. So please all stand up again, all together. We're gonna stretch up. The hand. Yeah. Relax. We are all together for the second session. Relaxing. Good. You good now? You all feel good? Okay. Thank you. Just to line up. For the next speaker, maybe you might be wondering, are you ready to order? Please welcome on stage Benjamin Feminish.
I hope you're still hungry, because your brain is ready to eat. So for today, I made my menu of thoughts for your brain that I called my gourmet menu of thoughts to contribute to change the world. It's, you know, in French cuisine, we like to do very elaborate names and long and intellectual, so that's only the beginning. So why a menu? And with what do you start for a menu? You have to clear your brain, you have to prepare it to start. So what better than an appetizer? I chose a mix of crudité. It's fresh, it's diverse, it's full of vitamins, and it reflects for me the building up of my brain. So when you start, you go around, you meet people, you build your brain, and it starts with the roots, the carrots. Your roots of your brain are your family, the people you meet, the people around you, your teachers. I was born in a family business in Geneva, in a family business. Well, with a family business, I was very lucky. And I learned how to really think in an entrepreneurial way and think creative, and also, most importantly, transmit what you have to the next generation. And that's part of me. It's who I am. Now, you have to build your knowledge. And your knowledge, what is crucial, is the critical mind. It's like a sommelier, his palate. Your brain needs to be able to make its own opinion of all what you get, all the information you get from all around. Also, you need to learn how to learn. And being able to do a research, that's what I learned at school. There are so much information everywhere. You have to know how to look for it and to learn new things. Now, teamwork. You all know here that you cannot run a TEDx show, for example, if you're alone. So if you want to go far for anything, you'll need a team. And also, you learn a lot from the people in your team. And it's a very important skill to be able to listen and to work together as a team to go anywhere. So your brain is ready. Now, you know who you are, and you will have to make a choice. That's the starter. You sit at the table. I chose spaghetti vongole. Why? Because for me it represents, first, with pasta there is timing. So my brain was ready, I studied hard, I had all my inspirations, I had my dreams, and it was time to jump into something. And I met this entrepreneur by chance, was starting something, and I had a good feeling. I followed my guts. I jumped in. They didn't have any money to pay me. That was an internship. And now, 5 years later, we have an investment fund. We managed 25 million, invested in 30 companies. And this was all a decision of guts. Okay, I like the guy. I will follow him. I will bring all my family into it. And now, after 5 years, we have last year a bank that invested in our fund. So this is really, you never would know what you're gonna get, and you have to get out of your comfort zone. For example, I went to a birthday party once I didn't want to go to. It was the girlfriend of one of my best friends, new girlfriend. Oh no, I prefer to stay at home. And I go there, and what happens? I meet the love of my life. So, you see, coincidence, and this is how it happens. You have to take risks also. The risk I took is jumping into something that wasn't there already, and then we built around it. Like the pasta, if you eat clams, there's a risk that you could feel bad about it, but it's so good that you have to force yourself. Now potential, pasta is full of energy, it's low sugar, energy ready to be delivered. When you jump into something that you have your guts feeling for, then you have to really realize your potential and give all you have to show that you can learn, to show that you can work as a team, and that you will succeed to stay if you like it. Now, the hardy part. This is where you know who you are, you made your choice already, and what will take most of the time in your life will be what you do every day, and it takes something more than just a job. For me, you need a meaning, and it's like a main course without sauce. Without a meaning, your job is dry. And for me, the meaning was, there are so many things you can do to improve the planet, the pressure on natural resources, the people that live in poverty. And one of those things is your investment. And what we want to do, our meaning, is to give a human face to investment. So for that, we have a team. You can't do it alone. So we have the kitchen that is in Colombia, it's the team that looks for companies and assesses them. We have the support in Italy, my colleagues who get the contract, order the transaction, look at the financial reports, check them. And we have the waiters, myself in Geneva, that make sure that the clients are happy in the restaurants, the investors, that they have all they want, that they are happy, and that they don't leave too early. And so to give you just a concrete example, I selected 2 projects that I visited last month. I was in Peru. And the first one is a sea scallop exporting company. This company was created by 2 young entrepreneurs in Peru that were passionate about the sea. That was their vision, that was their dream. And they wanted to work into something related to the sea. They found this product. There's a lot of demand for sea scallop, and it's a natural product. But the problem is, in Peru, the fishermen who live from scallop farming, they rely on natural ecosystems for their seeds and sometimes illegally for fishing. And they have a very difficult life with irregular income. They can have nothing for a long time, and then it's a party, and they can spend it all in just one weekend. So how could they work with those fishermen? And for that, they went into the place of origin of the scallops, into a desert, and set up their own hatchery to really give birth to those scallops. And instead of taking out life from the sea, they were giving seeds to farmers, to fishermen, and working together. So they pay them as employees. They have social benefits. They don't know what it was, so you have to explain them. You have to show them. You go with your family to the hospital, they won't pay. How can that be? So one goes, and then it happens, no? So he tells his friend. And so they work together with those fishermen, and they share the revenue of the production that is better because they follow all the advice of this company. Now the other, it's also a company, it's a cooperative in Peru that is a model for having diversified its sales from export of coffee to other products. And one of these products is unrefined raw cane sugar, panela in Spanish. And this interesting thing with this product is that the farmer sells an almost finished product. It's not a raw material like green coffee. The farmer has its own unit that was supported to be built by the cooperative to cook, to filter his sugar, and instead of selling it to the market, the local market of low quality, he has a better quality and he can export it. And this company has a packaging plant that you see on the picture. And what we will support them for is to build a bigger plant that is automatized, so you don't have to have 28 people like you see on the picture working all day and night, but you can have a modernized plant, saving money to pay better off the producers. Now we go, and what's coming next? The dessert. So you don't really have to have a dessert. You won't starve if you don't have it, but I like to have often a dessert. And the dessert for me was this network I found. I discovered that there is a network of next geners also from family business that want to do something different, that are in philanthropy, that are in impact investing also. And I went to a conference where I met really people like me, and we decided, why not do a network here in Switzerland? So with 3 of them, we did a network here in Switzerland. We organized already events focusing as the next generation that is concerned about the state of the world, and putting them together with great speakers and to reflect and to do stuff together. So that is the cherry on the cake for me, and I really enjoy it. Now, there's a little surprise before the end, the antidote. During your meal, it's always good. In different cultures, you have, for example, the Japanese, they eat ginger, some drink green tea. Here in Switzerland, when you eat cheese fondue, you eat pickles. Why? Because it cleans your mouth and you can eat more cheese. So what's my antidote? For me, it's a creative activity. It's theater. And I do theater as a dilettante. I go after work once a week. And it really helps me to clean all my brain from all my worries, all my stress. And I can be someone else, because you always have to be the same person. But here, when you do theater, you can be anyone. So that's my antidote. And now my question is, what will you order? And what will be your menu? Thank you very much.
One talk left. Enjoy to the fullest. Until now, and I hope that you have understood what we meant through Feed Your Brain. Let us once again feed your brain. Through the next talk, we will help you see, and we will motivate you, and why not encourage you to get a better grasp of your life. Because I'm sure that deep down inside of you, there's like this small part that strive for a life with impact. Before starting anything, I would like all of you to check your booklets. I know you already done it. And you will see on page 9 that there is a blank page with 3 different columns. Okay? You are going to need this for this next talk. For our last speaker, everyone, please welcome Corinne Spielboy.
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself to see the most beautiful sculpture on earth. I could not hire a drummer, therefore I need your help. Please. Yes. Et voilà. Some seems a little bit surprised. You might not like it, but this sculpture is the most beautiful sculpture on earth to me. You want to know why? I'll tell you later. Now, I'd like to share with you 3 keys to imagine a life with impact on the world or your environment. And the first key is know your values. Knowing it or not, we all live by our own set of values. And the more you care about them, the better you will feel in your life. That's why it's important to know them clearly. And how? Simply by asking yourself, what is important to you? What could I never give up? Another way is to observe yourself when you have negative reaction in your daily life. I give you an example. You are in a supermarket, in a queue, and you see someone behind you pushing around an old lady to take her place in the queue. And it angers you. I mean, more than the norm. It could be that one of your values is respect or justice. One of my most important values is unity. And in a previous job, I had a CEO who loved to create bad competition between the team members. And it separated us. I ended up with a burnout. At this point, I was not aware about values. If I had, I would have quit very quickly. Now, why this sculpture is the most beautiful to me? It is simply because through this sculpture I could realize a dream. Its name is Ubuntu, and Ubuntu is a Zulu word and philosophy that means, in short, I am who I am because of the others. 12 artists, me included, and 2 welders, did this culture. It is because we did this culture all together, united, that this culture is so dear to me. As you see, knowing your value guides you to make choices in your life. Now I'd like you to do a little game. To imagine a life that has impact on the world or your environment. And therefore you need your paper. I propose you to write down your 3 most important values you have, each one of you. And because it is not so easy and perhaps a bit short, I have some keywords, some values. It can inspire you if you want. Take a few seconds for that. Now that you know your value, we can go to the second key. And the second key is know in which direction you want your life to go. I am who I am, said Alison. The easiest way to know it is to ask you simply the question, how do I want my life to be? Do I live because I have to live? Or do I live because it's fun to live? Or because I want to create a great life for me and for the others? To help you with this question, I have 3 directions. The first one is, where should you live? What I mean with that is in which environment, city, countryside, or in which social environment you'd like to live. The second direction is, where should you know? How should you love? What I mean with that is, how do you relate with your close ones and the others? How do you communicate with them? And the third direction is, how should you act? What are your daily actions for the environment? Which social commitment do you have? Or what work do you do that helps the world grow? My job is to help people who are looking for a more fulfilling job. And a recent broadcast on Arte reported that in France, only 11% of the people are really happy to go to work. The others are either disengaged and go to work only for their paycheck, or they are so unhappy that they are counterproductive for the company. Imagine now if we could reverse this statistic, and if instead of 11% of people, we would have 90% of the people who are going with a smile on their face every day and knowing that they will blossom in their job. That is what motivates me the most. And that is also the reason why every Monday morning I begin my week with a live webcast about how to live from our passion. Therefore, I encourage you to see yourself happy in your work, as well, of course, as happy in your love life. Now, let's continue our little game. And with these 3 directions, live, love, action, I'd like you to imagine yourself in 10 to 15 years from now, living the life of your dream. Take a few seconds for that. You can take some notes. Where would you be? What would you be doing? With whom are you? How do you feel? And who are you as a person? When we imagine this life, mostly we have good feelings, joy, enthusiasm, openness, perhaps a smile on our face. What we have to keep in mind is to imagine this great life that has impact on the world or your environment. The first key is to know your values. And the second is to know in which know in which direction you want your life to go. And to create really this life, this wonderful life, you need a third key. What about taking the first step? My first step was when I commit publicly to a weekly webcast. And now I have another next first step and a new doing. I'd like to create a movement of people who commit to their own happiness in their job. Often I see we are waiting that the company are responsible for the well-being from their employees. In fact, we are the only one. We are responsible for our own happiness. Now, I'd like you for the last part. Oh, no, I forgot something. How you can be happy? You might say it's easy to say, but if you are not well in your job, change it. You can either change the company or change the profession. And if you can't find a job what is really dear to you, you could perhaps create it. Now for the last part, I'd like to invite you to take a few seconds and choose the first step you want to do to improve your life, your love, or your action so that it has impact on the world or the environment.
I wanna see the world united and learn to live as one. I wanna see the world united, learn to live as one.
And while you hear this wonderful music performed by musicians all around the world for the organization Playing for Change, I encourage you to take your paper with you, and after the TEDx, do your first step. And overall, I wish you to create a great life for yourself and for the other. Thank you.
First of all, I have a good news and a bad news. The good news is we hope you all enjoyed this TEDxEcoleHoteliereLausanne 3rd edition and 1st edition by a team of volunteer students. The bad news is it's already the end. So I would like to thank all of you, each of you, like all of you. All of you, like totally. for all your spirit and atmosphere. You spread the words. We saw that on Twitter, Facebook. You all spread the words and the good attitude. So I would like to thank the speakers, all speakers and performers who are here, still here today. And please, a round of warm and please a lot of applause. Welcome them on stage. Please come on stage. Please. Nothing could have been possible without a full team of students worked hard on this project. Imagine 20 students for the last 6 months working hard on this project. So please, all students, come on stage. Please, welcome. Woo! All in red. That's so great. Wow. We've worked countless hours on this project. I mean, I've been pushing them all the time. Every hours, every minute, every seconds, like checking with them with WhatsApp, Facebook, like all the time. And I'm pretty sure they can all agree. Yeah. But we made it. Isn't it worth it? I mean, you're all here, all students from EHL, and we made a TEDx event all together. And from my heart, thank you very much. Please, again. Woo!
Nevertheless, this would not have been possible if Benjamin, as co-organizer, and Elie Wiesel, as main organizer, well, all this would not have happened if they did not give us the chance to do this. So thanks to them.
I forgot 8 companies who help us and contribute in this event. You know, remember our theme? Feed your brain, right? But it's actually feed our brain. I would like to thank Terada, which you will discover right after this show in the Ola Couloir, where actually the wine will inhibit your brain. What's going on? Opaline, you already discovered the juice from opaline. They gave you vitamins for your brain, and that's great, right? Yeah, it was good. Masaba for the coffee, which actually gave us energy for today, and we needed it, definitely. Switcher for dressing up. And, you know, we look good actually, right? Yeah. Planet Swiss, who actually get the projection video to keep memories for this event. I mean, from you, from the speakers, from the team. And the souvenirs will have it for a long, long time, definitely. We have the Lausanne Palace, who help us to locate one of our speakers, and I'd like to thank them. And you know what? We've been online, worldwide broadcast in Brazil, Italy, and thanks to LHC. Lausanne Hospitality Consulting broadcast the events all over the world with their school partners. And EHL, of course, we're here. We are students from EHL for the room and for the students actually, worked hard, you know, the students who help us during the break and who will help us after. Same something, all of you all wondered, what are we going to do with the bottles, with all the plants? Well, we have maybe good news for you. Okay, it was decided like about 1 hour ago, but we made and we offer you the possibility to make handbag and go back home with a bottle and 4 or 5 plants, from lettuce to salads. Before to go to the apéro, I would like to do something, because I would like to keep a personal souvenir and to do a selfie, yeah. So I think it's a good moment. So guys, please come here and turn around. Oh yeah, nice. Avec toute la salle. Allez, en bas, descendez. Descendez. You know what? Can I invite one of the photographers to come on stage? Okay, selfie. That's amazing. It's fine. That's good. Thank you very much.
Come on, everyone, don't be shy. We were talking about TEDx,
come on, all together, around the stage.
Do not break the masterpiece. I repeat, do not break the masterpiece.
Hey, you know what? I don't hear you, sorry. Please, come on, share it up! Great. Woo! Thank you very much and enjoy the apéro.